all the meditation centers around the world be blessed by the divine. Let us bless all the participants and their family members be blessed by the divine. Let us take the twofold moral oath. I, in my lifetime, will not give pain to others physically or mentally. To the extent possible, I will remove the pain of others. I, in my lifetime, will not give pain to others physically or mentally. To the extent possible, I will remove the pain of others. I, in my lifetime, will not give pain to others physically or mentally. To the extent possible, I will remove the pain of others. We now expand our mind and bless the entire world. Rain may pour on all parts of the world timely and sufficiently. Food grains may grow abundantly to the satisfaction of all living beings. Leaders of all nations may grow spiritually and do good service to humanity. In the whole world, enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. May there be peace within us. May there be peace around us. May there be peace in the whole world. Peace, peace, peace. We thus conclude the meditation. Gently rub your palms and fingers, pass the energy over the face, raise your hands, take a deep breath, exhale it, bring your hands down. We thus complete the Turiya meditation. Once again, a warm welcome to all of you. Saturday is an important day for us because on that day, apart from the usual meditation, Kaya Kalpa, etc., we also invite some persons who are closely associated with Vedadri Maharsh's principles and have been doing a lot of spiritual and social service to come and share their thoughts on some important topic. And today we have from New Jersey, Ramanam Natarajan, Arulidi Natarajan. He is known to us, he has been coming and addressing us in spite of his busy schedule. He's an IT professional working there and taking care of the center there also. Today he is going to talk about how contentment can be making your life very charming. It's very attractive title is given. So let us see how we can be more charming and let our life will be more charming listening to Arulidi Raman's exposure. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Balachandran sir. Thanks for the opportunity. I chose this topic because it's also something that I recently contemplated upon. It's not that, I mean, I also have to say it is 7 years, 8 years since I have been practicing the Vedatriyam after starting my foundation course, probably sometime in 2019, I think. So, considering that it's a 7 year journey, it really takes, even though I have practiced it and I have really followed all along, uh, observing all the thoughts and practicing it, it is a journey. It is not, I'm not saying that it is a challenge or it is not possible or anything. It really takes a lot of I mean, in Maharishi's own techniques, like the introspection, be it into, I mean, doing a proper introspection and making sure that we restructure our lives. It doesn't really take 1 day, 2 day, or even months or weeks. It takes years. Or for some people, probably, they may adapt quickly. They would be exceptional, but for many of us, it really takes a long time. So, contentment. I'm normally an ambitious person, but I think what I have also personally experienced is that because you have a lot of ambitions, not materialistic, but probably it is something like the ambitions or aspirations are more. What you want to experience. I mean, it may be your career related aspirations also, but with that thing that actually, rather than, it is not that only material aspirations will give you stress or will give you the other kind of problems or sufferings. Even what you want to aspire, your goals and your what you think are normal and ethical, like having an academic goals or kind of career aspirations, which are basically not a not a morally or ethically wrong things, but they also can give you stress, or they can give you suffering. So contentment is a kind of a virtue that actually can help you to navigate the life. I think that is what I wanted to talk today. I will share my I created a content, so I created a content right, so which is to really guide our conversation. And I will walk through that, right? So let me. Okay, so I will put this in presentation mode. Okay, so now contentment. When we talk about this topic of contentment, Oxford Dictionary says it's a state of happiness and satisfaction. So, and Maharishi, what he has said, one is a wise, when they limit their desire to their genuine needs. This is what is, a kind of a very gist of, what we will talk in this. But I think we have to really talk, it is easier to talk. Probably, this is one, this is basically, going to be the crux of our discussion today. But at the same time, how we will navigate it using this particular one single guidance or principle is something that we'll go through. Now, experience and understanding, when we practice contentment, that actually will help, down the line, eventually, it will help us empower ourselves. So, this is basically a kind of a quick seeing that, what is the definition and how our guru is really guiding that, right? Now, I want to, rather than going into one thing that I thought here is like the sessions, rather than focusing too much on theory, I also wanted to really take some case study. When I say case study, this is something like only a kind of a visual deception, if you will, right? It's not the same topic that I'm really going to talk about. When I talk about case study, I actually put some content, but at the same time, I really want to quote from my own example of handling, or encountering certain people, and probably talking about their experiences. Because when for nearly 15, 16 years, I have been an IT manager. So I have really been doing a lot of people management. So one of the things I think during the initial time, several almost a decade back, somewhere in the early 2010s, at that time, somebody in my team, I was in India at that time. I had a large team. So somebody in my team came and really said, he was a reasonably senior person. So he came and spoke saying that I am looking for my promotion, or I really want to go abroad. So I think he's one of the, I think it's a kind of a project where he's a key team member. So I was trying to really understand, because any promotion is fine as long as he will stay in the team. But if he moves abroad, then in that case, we will lose him. So I wanted to really understand what is the problem. So he was really talking something. It's something like I currently have 75,000 is my take home, or 60,000, 75,000, something like that. And my I have EMI that comes to 60,000. So I have very, very, very less money, to spend. In a way, it is something like I don't need to go into that. I'm just giving an example, because I don't want to really talk about what I did with that. And, that's a professional conversation. That's a different topic. But take that example of this person. So 75,000 rupees is the salary, 60,000 they have EMIs. If they have that, with the 15,000 rupees, it's a family. He had a child also at that time. So there are I mean, there are parents. You need to also take care of your parents. How will you run the family? It's I mean, it's a problem now. Even say even the spouse is also earning. There are times, there are both husband and wife, both are earning, but even the same thing might come 80%, 85% of their salary. If they are really having 70%, 80% of their income is going towards paying off loans, then in that case, what is the money that they will spend? How they will spend? All of a sudden, if some emergency comes, how will they handle? It becomes a problem. Then I think what they really go and really ask their employer, whoever is doing it, give me a higher compensation, or give me this thing. Or sometimes they switch companies because another company will give you more money. And but there will be sometimes somewhere you will not be able to progress. You will meet a dead end. If you meet a dead end, then you will really go into depression. You will really go into all the other problems. So taking that, I mean, I have taken this as a kind of a case study, as an example. When people have only desires, they are not satisfied with their current state of life, but they just want to go without any kind of they just want to simply, they are attracted by they are consumed by their desires, and allow their desires to take over the life. Then what happens? It really leads to all the today's problems. What is really commonplace in today's problems? Because worldwide, our World Health Organization says a large percentage, maybe more than one third of the world, especially the younger generation, they are having mental health issues. This is something that the worldwide World Health Organization says. So when we have such a large population having mental health issues, it is also not good for the world also, because our children are there. They have to grow, and I think in 20 years down the line, if they really go live in a world where the world contains more than half of the people in the world, if they have mental health issues, it really becomes a difficult world for our offspring, our children to live in. So we have a responsibility to see that how we correct it, right? That is the and that is where I wanted this case study to really give, seed some thought process around it. Now, um, you you have gone, like I also spoke about all these domino effect. Now, okay, so now, because I took the example of this person. So I am a manager having a conversation. So he comes and asks the question saying that I have to get a promotion, or I have to go abroad. So for both of that, then what I will tell as a manager to him is, you are performing really a good job. You are doing a good job, but you are really asking for a promotion. And for that, this is the criteria. You have to meet this criteria. If you meet this criteria, then your promotion can be processed. So he has to put work on that. Then what happens when he puts work on that? He is under a time crunch now, because he is currently having a financial this thing. So he's putting complete focus on that, and maybe he spent 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and this 4 months, 5 months, and 6 months, maybe he's really working 16 hours, 18 hours in a day. He even works on weekends. He sacrifices family time. What happens because of this? He sacrifices his personal time. He sacrifices his the time that he spends with his wife. The time he spends with his children. Sometimes he may not even really take care of his parents, and because he's not taking care of the family, sometimes if for the father-in-law and mother-in-law, they pick up fight with wife, he cannot, that gives additional stress. All these problems, there is a domino effect that gets created. You started having a specific desire, which is where you really moved out of that particular contentment mindset, and you have really gone this way. Then this domino effect, and finally what happens, it really impacts your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, because the relationship with your family is also deteriorating at that particular time. So this becomes what happens today, that to today majority of the families are nuclear families. So what happens, because they are nuclear families, even within families there may be for three people or four people, you have the father, mother, and a couple of children. Maybe the children probably may bond with each other, but the parents, the wife, husband and wife may not bond with each other. Even wife also probably will be consumed by all the stress, and she also may not give a lot of the quality time or the quality parenting needed, for taking care of the children. So the domino effect really creates so many of unwanted side effects. So and long term, it creates harm. And this thing, I don't want to really probably try to, I would really say that, blow things out of proportion or anything like that, blow a situation out of proportion. But I think that we also have seen quite a bit. This is, the specific case study that I have taken is not one person, because we know that this is something that is a kind of a behavior that we will really see on people who have really entered the family life, in the first decade of this century, or the second decade, or more into the second decade of this century. Maybe the first decade, is a little bit okay, but I think that more and more, it really became like a fast paced life, in late 2000s and early 2010s. From that particular point of time, when the social media and all the fast paced, the high availability really became the norm. It really becomes the lifestyle has really taken a change. Hopefully, it settles down at this time, but it has really presented all these modern day challenges. That's what, I would put it that way. So now we stated a problem. I think the solution is something I will, before I really talk about, because we are talking about a problem, and when we really talking about a problem, how the topic of contentment that we have taken, it really gives the solution to this problem, is something that I will go into. But that solution, before even we go and really start talking about what Maharishi is teaching us, let us try to see what we can learn from our parents, right? Especially the parents of the late 20th century. I think I would say there are, I am talking about, if you take the century into four quarters, take the last quarter, 1975 to 2000, whoever are the parents during that particular time, how they lived their life. Because before that, I think it was really, even not only in India, worldwide, even in developed countries like America, many families, they did not really have great means to live with. Every country has really gone through the cycle. So what they had at that particular time, financial discipline. Because I think maybe even I can quote the example of my own parents in so my family, because at that particular time, because just to go back in time and give a view of the lives that they led at that particular time. At that time, not everybody had a bank account. My father, he was a government employee, so, and because of that, salary gets credited in the bank account even those days. So he had a bank account, but at the same time, the way they lived their life is something like, so every month, it's a kind of how the parents, they actually raised a family jointly, with the as partners, is something that's a great learning that we could really take. What at that particular time, so my father had the salary, so every time he gets the salary, the day one, first day of the month, he gets the salary, he withdraws the salary, give it to my mom. So she's the one who is the who manages the budget, right? So it is something like, so this is the income, this is what we need to spend, and she's very, very meticulous in that. It's something like every week, whatever that has happened, or even every month, she will actually, take a piece of paper, put all the expenses, and then probably, even call my dad, call us, and say that this is the expense that we are having. We are struggling. You need to reduce this expense. You need to reduce that expense. We need to save this much. So the the mother not only my mom, but most of the mothers, definitely have taken care of making sure that the family is really, whatever income the family had, is something that is spent wisely, and we are also really able to save for the future. And because of that, they were leading a very, very simple life at the early stages. But after that, slowly, because of the savings habit, they were really able to save for education, and they were able to fund our education. And and after that, when we were really in college at that time, they also really understood what they have. So they actually went clearly set expectations to me and my brother, saying that we have educated you, but even for any expenses that you will have for your marriage and other things, or after you get into your job, you have to support us. They went into an expectation setting mode, but they were very clear in expectations. And uh, uh, and that actually meant that, we as the children, when we really started our life, we started with clear expectations. This is what is expected of us, so we have to really go and fulfill those expectations. It's a well planned way of raising the family. So, what we are, I mean, what I am trying to say is, when you do not really have a sense of what is your income and what are your expenses, how you should really plan your expenses in such a way that it does not, um, put a stress, any type of a financial stress on or burden on your family. And what is the threshold of the debt that you have, and what is the threshold of the individual bucket of expenses that you need to have. If you do not plan, you just want to really spend impulsively. I want to spend this money, I don't want to think about it, I just want to spend it. I think because that type of mindset is something that is getting cultivated in our minds, and we are not controlling that. That is why all these mental health, your mental health, emotional health problems, or stress, depression, all the modern day problems are actually coming mainly because this particular lesson from parents of the late 20th century, we are not, I think this generation has almost completely ignored that. Maybe because that particular parenting sometime might have really placed some burden on them. Maybe the way they might have really set expectations, or they might have really given, sometimes they might have scolded the children for making for throwing tantrums, where they were so adamant in really getting what something that they wanted, which the parents could not afford. They would have really handled them a little hard. They should have handled hard at that particular time only, but because of that, their methods are not wrong. There is a lot that they have done right, which probably this generation has completely ignored. And I think that is why we are suffering, is the point that I wanted to drive from this particular piece of the content. Now, Maharishi, let's look at Maharishi's view now, because I have really seen that, what we can learn from our parents, because it is going by how when we start our meditation, we always first start with our parents, then we do go to Guru. Now we really try to learn from what our Guru has, taught with respect to contentment, and he specifically said why people are not content. Maharishi said, the single root cause of human disappointment, suffering, and worry is our expectations. Maharishi called them as imaginary expectations because we have greed, inefficiency, or an underdeveloped intellect. So here is that imaginary expectation. Like I gave the example of that particular employee associate. He actually had a kind of maybe at that particular point of time in his career, he might have really thought that, okay, so he deserved a 1 lakh salary, 1.5 lakh salary, whatever. He would have really thought that, whatever the skill set that he had at that point in time. Because I have taken this example, but I also have to say that he has grown a lot in the career, and he's really right now doing well in his career. But at the same time, at that particular point in time, he had probably lacked the specific intellect or the specific competency to earn the salary that he was expecting to earn. But he has, at that particular time, maybe an inefficiency was there or underdeveloped intellect was there. Probably greed was not there. I did not come across like that. It is basically a bad planning, whatever it is. But at the same time, that is what it is. Greed, in the sense, it may be a small, even a minor greed. You could really say that, "Okay, everybody is having a house, I want a house. Everybody is having a car, I want a car." It might also have come from peer pressure. But all these, but Maharishi calls them as imaginary expectations. And these expectations, they will lead to disappointment, as they are a one-sided demand. And what happens, ego will manifest these expectations through aggression and possessiveness. Because what happens is, people who have those things, they will actually develop the qualities of aggression, they will develop the qualities of possessiveness. So now, let us talk about what are the examples of imaginary expectations. So material people, the like I said, I want big house, I want a luxury car, I don't want to drive a normal, say, taking an India example, I don't want a normal Tata car, or a kind of a Swift, or this thing. If I really buy, or I want to buy a BMW, I want to buy a Audi. I mean, BMW, Audi, it applies to US also. All those things. I don't want to buy a Toyota. I always want to buy only if I have a Lexus, or only if I have a BMW, or only if I have an Audi. That suits my status. This is a materialistic example. Then aspiring to someone, because many times, it is something like, some people, when they are growing up, oh, okay, I think, maybe they may be thinking, they may be in their friend circle, they may be singing well, or they may be dancing well, or they may have a good personality, they may be thinking, oh, I want to really become a celebrity someday. Or some people who have some kind of a good speaking and oratory capacity, they will say, oh, I want to become a politician. Or somebody who is really good at sports, they will really think, I will become the next Tendulkar, I will become the next Federer, Roger Federer. They may be thinking all that. So imagining oneself as superhero, all these things are all imaginary expectations. You may be good at certain things, but at the same times, we also have to really understand, when you start pursuing that, because if a good singer, they want to really become a singer in the cine field, means then they probably may think, okay, I want to go and really audition myself in a singing competition that some famous television is conducting. You go there and there are a lot of better singers than you. Then I think there, people really start getting into stress. What they really thought, they had all these imaginations that they had, they won't get fulfilled. All so these are the examples of imaginary expectations. This is the problem. Maharishi says the things that, when you really develop all these expectations, then you are getting into this, you are getting disappointed, you suffer, you worry, you get into all these things. So what is the solution, right? The solution, Maharishi's solution is this. So you do your introspection techniques. I'm not going to go through the introspection techniques, right? So analysis of thoughts, moralization of desires, or eradication of worries, all these things you do. Replace the expectation with blessing. So wherever you have expectation, say for example, if you want to really grow in your career, you will definitely have stakeholders. You want to really talk, even in a singing competition, you have other singers, you have the people who are judges. Expectation with blessing. Prior to you getting into this, if you really bless everyone, sometimes the universe also will create that extra effort that you need to put to elevate your performance. Because if elevation happens at the right time, then if you are in the competition, then you probably may bring your best, you probably may pass the audition. So all these things are something that we would need to really understand, how we will really put a goal, and then even accomplish that goal with the replacing your expectation with suffering. Because you are when you really only have expectations, and you really make it like a one-sided demand, but you are not putting any effort towards it, then in that case you will not be able to succeed in that. That is why Bhagavad Gita says, it is something like, do your duties, do not care about, I mean, do not worry about expectations, or do not care about expectations, because putting the effort is very important. Putting the effort means the universe will see your effort, and then the universe will really provide the fruits for your effort. That is what is the thing, that replacing the expectation with blessing is something. Blessing is one type of blessing, is part of your effort. You still need to really bring out your skill set. But introspection techniques, that's a different topic. But finally, when we really talk about where is this particular how the contentment finally will finally, okay, we are applying all these techniques, but how this will really lead you to contentment. So let us really go back to our case study itself, how people can approach their these things differently. So see, one thing that we would need to understand is life is not an entitlement, because it is an assignment that universe or the divinity divine has given it to us. They have given an assignment that you need to live this life. I am throwing you scenarios. You have to really go through the scenarios and pass the test of those scenarios. So you need to complete all the tasks that are assigned to you. Many times we try to really tend to get shortcuts. Okay, we finish education day one itself. I need to really get a salary that will really help me to settle me in my life. Either first month salary, 1 year salary, or one salary, one magic bullet, my life is settled. If we are really going with that expectation, that is extreme. But people may even think that I will work for 5 years, 10 years, I will retire. Whatever it is, they probably will go with many different expectations, right? But I think the best way to start with a simple mindset. I am happy with what I have today. So, first thing for that, you can all do an exercise, right? Ensure that you have the ability to meet your basic needs, your food, clothing, residence. Then, do I have an education? Am I well educated? Do I have a job? Do I have a safe environment? I think it is very important that there are no threats. The locality where I live in, there are no crimes, and this place, I can always walk out freely, go out freely, or drive out of this freely. Nobody will threaten me. Then I do have a kind of a good family, and I have a good friend circle, relative circle, and for people who are married, they have a good life partner. If you have these basic needs, if we think that if these if these 5 6 items are something that I have, then I think that I have to think that a very basic minimum check that I see, I am good. This is something I have. I have this. And because I have this, I am content. Right? I think anything that I add on top of this is a blessing to me, is something that actually, enables my life, enriches my life, not really something that I am lacking. I have all this. So once establish that mindset, then what happens is that you start your life with a kind of an inner peace, or the contentment ultimately lead to your inner peace and or individual peace. Maharishi, all Maharishi's topics are connected, but I think I'm talking about contentment means this is what it is, right? You talk about these basic needs and say that I have this, right? I have basically the thinking about, because many times people also sometimes it's very common in a family, the spouses, husband that thinking about the wife, or wife thinking about husband, and they all really think about what they did not do well. It's something like most of the time, rather than thinking that the glass is half empty, think about glasses half full. More than many of the time it is 80% full or 90% full, only 10% empty. So you can really look at 90% full, and think of all the positives. It is something like, if wife thinks that my husband does not have bad habits, he's not spending unnecessarily, he's actually spending time with kids, and he's earning reasonably, he's supporting the family, and husband also thinks that my wife is supporting the family, she is also really earning and spending the money and giving the money for the contributing, for the working together with me, in building a life, and she's actually also taking care of the kids, she's a good mother to the kids. You just think all these things, rather than thinking that, yesterday, when we were talking, why did she make that statement, or why did he make that statement. If you really think that, take that particular small interaction or a transaction and want to really spoil the happiness in your life, that is where you are moving out of that contentment zone. When you are really content, you have to let go of all those small imperfections, right? Now, actually, also another thing is very important. Like I said, taking the example of parents, they always lived their lives, planned their lives together. They always, sailed as, a kind of, they sailed as partners. They thought that, it is something like life is a partnership game. Yeah, right from the beginning of a marriage, the couple need to discuss as a couple on how they will navigate expectations. So this is something, when I really put all these things, I didn't want to go through the introspection topics, but this is what Maharishi also said. If you really have your desires, and what are all the thoughts are really, maybe outcome of desires. So for in order to meet your desires, you first need to really, I am saying that the contentment is the foundation. Once you get the contentment as foundation, because after that, if you are really living a kind of a monotonous life every day, then that also may become boring. So you establish goals, because establishing goals only will give some purpose that you will conduct your life. And but establishing the goal also, there has to be a method. You need to identify the methods to reach the goal, and then create the plans to execute the methods, keep working on that particular plan, and review as a couple on the progress that you are making, and make course corrections as necessary. If things fail or you get into roadblocks, then you have to convince, you have to go back to the drawing board, convince that I am still meeting my basic needs, I failed, I will learn lesson, I learned some lessons, I will repeat this cycle. If you conduct your life like this is how I am pretty sure this is how our parents conducted their life. That is why they were always, they were happy, successful. Many of them led a life of 50 years, 60 years, or even more than that, a very happy married life they were able to do only because of that. And again, another thing, contentment does not mean that you conduct your, it does not mean the life has to be dull. Because many time we will say, oh, contentment means, it is something like boring. You don't really aspire. You don't really, think about growth, or you don't really think that you don't want to make your life better. Every day you want to just earn money, eat your food, go, the some people even will say that, like, whatever our great Tamil poet, Mahakavi Bharatiya said, they maybe he was really talking about some people who live the routine life as Vedic Manidargal. That means that they are actually weird humans, or whatever it is. You can really put it that way. But it does not mean that, need not be like that. I think that there are people who may mistake contentment, and even if they really go into that particular mode of not trying to improve your lives, that's also not the right thing. You have to be content, but at the same time you need to really understand you have duties to fulfill. That is why you are leading a life. You need to really think about those duties also. That is where we spoke about planning, to really look at, what your duties, and those duties has to be translated to goals, and you need to work on the goals. Contentment does not mean dull life. It is basically to make sure that you are not on a shaky ground, telling yourself that you are on a strong ground, you are on a strong foundation, you have a strong foundation. Manifesting that thought every day in yourself will keep you at peace. That is what contentment is all about. So all these myths saying that content people will lead average life, contentment means not aspiring. If all are content, well, world will not progress. These are all myths. I will also tell why these are myths. I think that I will come to that before I conclude this topic. But I think, like what I wanted to talk about is contentment actually will fuel empowerment, your foundation for empowerment. Basically, um, when you say a sense of contentment, it lays the groundwork, for self empowerment, helping people recognize and embrace their true strengths. Because when you think that you don't really have to really chase any financial loans or any this thing, that thing, and you are really having a kind of a settled life, definitely your mind is automatically going to see that how am I going to really make my children successful. You will focus on your children, if there are no financial, say for example, parents, if they really relieve their financial stress and say that I worked out a plan, my EMIs are less than 40% of my income, I'm able to can peacefully pay my EMIs, and I have 100 rupees come, 40%, 40 rupees go for EMIs, 30 rupees go for expenses, 30 rupees I am actually keeping it for, I'm actually making investments, and actually some of them I actually parked in emergency fund. You do all the proper planning. Then after that, you see that you put a plan and the plan is working, you are monitoring the plan. It gives such a great stability in your mind that after some time you will really start thinking that how we can educate our children better, how we can actually introduce them to new skills. You will really start living a kind of a very good life where you will really start going in that particular path. It also will start really thinking as you are carrying out your everyday work. Then you will really think, oh, there are new technologies coming, can I really go and really do a certification? You will really start really thinking a lot. You will not imagine, you will start empowering yourself, and then probably you will go and really enroll your certification, you get certified, suddenly you will get a new role, suddenly you will get a promotion without you going and running after promotion. You, all these things will, you don't need to really go after that. All things will blossom from inside. Your performance will blossom from inside when you are in a content state of mind. That is what is the when I say it sets the foundation for empowerment, and it boosts the confidence for growth because you are satisfied. When you are completely satisfied inside, sometimes people will come, your be it your friends, your family, everybody will come, what you guys are not thinking about this, thinking about that. You will also have that inner strength to really either brush off those things and really not enter. You will have your own ways of not entertaining that conversation, and you will really feel satisfied inside. You will feel confident and you will grow. You will not really address it because of peer pressure or what, because somebody else is saying. You will not really look for the validation from others. You will really have a self validation, and that boosts your confidence for growth, and it fosters continuous improvement of your life also. Now, this is the reason, you need to really talk sorry, you need to talk sorry, you need to uh, look at keeping this particular contentment as your foundation. Now, before I conclude the topic, I also wanted, because I spoke about all these things, right? And I also spoke about myths, certain myths. So I will actually quote example of two famous personalities. So one is Warren Buffett. He is the richest person on the planet, right? So he is now 95 years old. He retired only last year. Okay, 94 or 9, or after turning 95 only he retired, I think. So I think you have to see entrepreneur. Even Tata, our Ratan Tata, who is probably the largest entrepreneur the India has seen. I think he retired at 75. So Warren Buffett continued to manage his group of companies until 95. And so this gentleman, he actually bought a house in 1958. It was a um, I mean, maybe for India, a five-bedroom apartment, maybe a five-bedroom house, maybe still a big house. But in an American standard, he had that five-bedroom house in the state of Omaha for nearly 60 plus 65 plus years. He is living in that house only, and he has not moved to any other house, and he is living in that particular house, and considers that as his primary residence even today. And unlike other billionaires, like the next one of the next richest person, like Bill Gates, he owns a multi-million dollar mansion, which is they say that it is 10 times or 15 times bigger than where Warren Buffett lives. But when sometimes, in an interview, when he was questioned, he made one quote, I think, that talks about what there cannot be a very beautiful way of talking about contentment. He says possessions should not possess you. That is what he says. And that's a very beautiful way of saying it. Your possessions should not possess you. I think that is what I would really say is a very good definition of contentment is, right? I also will quote our from India another entrepreneur, Sridhar Vembu. So he owns this company Zoho, and right now Zoho has it has recently, Zoho was in the news because they have developed products that will compete in future with Microsoft. They have really developed all the technology stack that Microsoft has developed. Being a technical, I mean, IT professional, I am really giving that particular thing, particular perspective as well. So when he has built that, now he's not living the life, like, again, he's also not living the life like a Bill Gates, or India's Bill Gates, or because since he's one of the, I would really say that from a self-made tech entrepreneur, if you really say that, he will be one of the top in India. And he lives in a very small house in a small town in Tamil Nadu called Tenkasi. And when he was interviewed and people asked about it, this is what he has said: I live well, I eat enough, I have enough, and I have good space. I mean, when it comes to residence, I have a small residence, but I have a lot of space, to walk around and go and really enjoy the nature. So we have to really understand from these people. They built wealth. They, in fact, they have, they have a lot of wealth, but at the same time, they have contentment inside, and they are practicing that contentment. It does not mean that other rich entrepreneurs do not practice contentment. They probably, it is, people may possess all those wealth and other things, but in spite of that, if they also really think that all they, when they are actually sitting in their room, or they think that, okay, this is the place. I think that if within their mind, if they really think that, I mean, this is my personal space, I only need this much. If they really think even that, that's also good. I spoke about famous people, but even I spoke about um, one of the senior leaders that I worked with when I was a young professional. I mean, he definitely had all the, whatever he was earning, he definitely should have had, all the luxuries. But when it really comes to his lifestyle, he always really maintain a very, very, he's very simple. He has to dress professionally, he will dress professionally, but he always really ate very simple food, and, had a clean habits. So it is something like such kind of people exist. That is what, I would really say, people who are successful and who made a very successful career, made a successful remark about it, they all had contentment as their foundation. Then because the moment they think that there is some, you can chase, you can actually go after goals, but if you are really consumed by desires, then that actually will be the biggest roadblock for your progress. If you are content, the contentment will not keep you average, but it will actually fuel your empowerment. It will actually, finally, it will fuel your growth also. So that is the message I wanted to deliver today, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir, for such an excellent topic and also an excellent speech. Yes, as you have said, contentment does not mean dull life. Instead, it means a happy life. Yes, it gives us a good physical as well as mental health, with which we can lead a very nice life. Even I am reminded of Socrates. I have read about him in one of the books, that a great philosopher, that he used to visit the shandy that was being conducted once in 3 months in his place. He used to go there not to buy things, but he just wanted to know what are the developments, what are the latest things that have come and all. We just visited to just know that, but not to buy anything. So that is contentment. Yes, that's the more we are contented, we can lead a very, very good life indeed. Thank you, sir, for your nice case study and also telling about great personalities. Thank you very much, sir. And dear friends, it's discussion time now. Anybody want to discuss? Please raise your hand. Professor Balchandran.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Ramanan. As Madam said, it was a very nice speech, very practical. And this topic title itself was very interesting. And you made the presentation also very interesting. So you talked about famous personalities and then how just our attitude. What is more important is the attitude. If only we have the right attitude, our life can be a success. Yesterday was Mahatma Gandhi's Martyrs Day. So he used to say that we have enough for everyone's needs, but we don't have enough for everyone's greed. This exactly is what is the problem. We have so much of materials, but because of this attitude that we are still feeling, everyone is feeling that I don't have enough, I don't have enough. And this type of frustration leads to disharmony in self, family, society, all those things. This moralization of desire is an excellent topic, one of the best topics, which if all of us can implement that, then I think with much less materials, we can all lead a much more happy life. And you had given a number of examples for that also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Balchandran. Dear friends, let us all come to meditative state now to bless our speaker, Ramanan. Professor Ramanan, be blessed by the divine. His present and future endeavors be blessed by the divine. Thank you all, dear participants. And Professor Balchandran, can I conclude now?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, dear friends, for your participation. And I once again thank Ramanan for his excellent speech. Thank you, Professor Balchandran, for your continued guidance. And now here, Balaji Balasundaram has put one namaskar, that is telling that the program was very nice. And dear friends, I have some announcements to be made. We have foundation course being conducted twice monthly, that is starting from 1st and 16th of every month. Also, Kaikalpa course is being conducted on 2nd Sunday of every month. Apart from these speeches on Saturday, we have daily meditation, and that's standard time, followed by thought for the day. Kindly do join for this and also enjoy the bliss. Thank you all, dear friends. We will meet again next Saturday with another interesting speech on Vedadriyam. Till then, it is Bharati telling goodbye to you all. Thank you all. Be blessed by the divine.
Be blessed, வாழ்க வளமுடன். Thank you.